Interval International is going to be making some big changes to their Eplus program. Let's talk about what they are and how they might impact you if it's something you use when exchanging your timeshares through Interval. Let's talk all about it right after this. Hello and welcome to Destination Timeshare. I'm Jeremy. So today, we're going to be talking about a big change that Interval International is making to its Eplus program. And before we do that, let's talk about what Eplus is, because you might not even know about it if you don't use it. If you do, you probably know some of the great benefits already, but I actually won't go into too much detail because I have a previous video that I'll link to right up here. In fact, I'm probably going to have to update that video here in the near future because of these changes. But what Eplus is, it's a program where when you confirm an exchange, you can then actually add Eplus. Then it gives you the ability to make 3 additional retrades for no additional exchange fee. So if you find another resort later on down the road, maybe bigger room, maybe a nicer place, well, you can retrade into that for no fee. Now, if you do trade into a larger unit size, well, you're going to be paying upgrade fees to do that if it's outside of 59 days from check-in. And with Eplus, you had to actually add that at the time you were placing an ongoing search, or at the time you actually confirmed an exchange, or up to 5 days after you actually confirmed that exchange. So you had a bit of a window there to add the Eplus feature to that by paying the current fee for Eplus. Right now it's actually $89. But in fact, what is that 5 days to add Eplus to an exchange? Well, that is actually the first thing that is changing here on February the 1st, 2024. They're actually extending that to be 14 days. Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? But trust me, what is good usually is met with something that's bad. So let's talk about that here next. Okay, so as I touched on kind of in the beginning of this video, one of the biggest benefits of Eplus is the ability to make 3 retrades after your initial exchange, up to 24 hours in advance of check-in. Now, actual practicality, I found it was actually up till midnight, or I guess 11:59 p.m. the day prior to check-in, but it was a great flexible benefit, kind of like a quasi travel insurance for your exchange, to be able to kind of change things up, or maybe if you had to cancel your trip, well, you could retrade that out a ways and then use it again later. So the big change now coming here, which is kind of the bad one, starting February the 1st again, well, they're now going to limit this to where you can only make a retrade up to 14 days in advance of check-in instead of 24 hours. So that's a pretty significant devaluation of this program. I don't think they're changing the fee to make it lower, but what I think they did was they kind of threw a bone there with, hey, you have 14 days now instead of 5 days to add it, but now you can only retrade up to 14 days in advance. And if you get within that 14 days, well, guess what? You're out of luck. Unfortunately, that Eplus retrade option is going to kind of disappear within that 14 days from check-in. You might get lucky. You might be able to call Interval International, talk to a rep. Maybe they'll have some additional flexibility. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but anything's possible. So unfortunately, 14 days, kind of a big restriction there. And I'm not really sure why they did this. Maybe they were ending up with a lot of kind of junky weeks left over after people retraded out for something better. And then maybe another possibility here was that a lot of people were doing retrades kind of at the last minute, within that 24 hours in advance mark, essentially the day before. And maybe Interval International didn't have enough time to notify the resorts to drop a person off of a room and add them to a different one. So that's just another possibility, but I'm not really sure about that one because essentially Interval International, they'll put weeks out there for exchange, for getaway bookings that are essentially the day before or even sometimes the day of check-in. And I even noticed some that are still sitting out there at 10 p.m. the day of check-in for people to be able to either exchange into or buy a getaway. So there would be no way for them to really notify the resorts fast enough because in some cases those were even in the evenings on a weekend. So I don't really know that that's it, but they obviously have some reason for this change to now make it so you can't retrade using Eplus within 14 days of travel. So I'm actually curious, are you impacted by this change with Interval International and their Eplus program? Do you use it a lot? We actually do use it a fair bit, so we're gonna have to be a little bit more kind of mindful of when we're getting close to that 14 days before check-in to make sure if we're not going to use the week we've confirmed, well, we need to make sure we retrade it out to somewhere else as far out as we can in order to save that week for another time. But I'd love to know your thoughts of this change, kind of what is chipping away at the programs and the benefits of Interval International and their exchange program. I'd like to know your thoughts though. Leave them down in the comments below. Okay, so if you've been wondering, we're actually here at Sheraton Vistana Villages in Orlando, and I just actually picked up some empanadas from the new food establishment here called Conktails over in the Key West phase. We're gonna try these out here in just a minute, but before I do, I wanna ask if you're liking this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help with these videos. And if you wanna see another video from here at Sheraton Vistana Villages in Orlando, well, I'll provide a link to one right here. So check that out coming up next. Thanks for watching, and remember, until next time, the best destination is always a timeshare. Those were pretty tasty. I don't know about you, but $12 for 2 empanadas? I think that's kind of expensive.